Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
It's 7:07. Imagine that. O'Connor and Company here on this Groundhog Day, second day of February. It's cold, it's icy. Schools are still closed because, what are you going to do about it? And they're Democrats.
Nothing.
They can't do a damn thing. They're going to keep their job, and you're just going to have to deal with it. That's their opinion. Coming up at 8:05, Peter Schweitzer, a stunning brand new book, The Invisible Coup, How American Elites and Foreign Powers Use Immigration as a Weapon. I am Larry O'Connor. I am alongside Bethany Mandel. She's the proprietress. Proprietress. Is that a thing?
You just make up words all day long, especially on Mondays.
The Mom Wars. Check out her Substack and her podcast. It's The Mom Wars. The Mom Wars. All right, Bethany, here comes Joe diGenova. He is a former U.S. attorney for the District of Columbia and a mensch among mensches. Happy Groundhog Day, Joe.
Thank you very much. It's cold out there.
Oh, finally, northern Florida has gotten a little bit of a chill. You've been, boasting about your beautiful Florida weather while we've been horrible. How cold is it there?
My fountain froze.
Wow. That's what about
Potomac did too.
Did you save the koi?
Only no. This is an Italian fountain. This is from the Cary Grant area of a holiday in Rome. This is a real fountain.
Roman holiday fountain, and you and Victoria drive around in a little Vespa in the driveway.
Yes, we had our Vespa.
I love that.
There are many Vespas in our family.
Now I'm just thinking about the martini. So let's move on. Joe, let's tackle the latest here. First of all, did you see this judge's opinion on releasing this 5-year-old boy? And so this is the 5-year-old boy whose father abandoned him. I mean, they should call Child Protective Services, but it read like a romance novel. Did you see this thing?
Yes, this is part of the incredible delusional thing that has seeped into the judiciary in the United States, where they now think of themselves as not only judges but mensches and advisors and psychologists and elected officials, and it needs to stop.
Yeah. He actually said I wanted to quote this. Here's some. Observing human behavior confirms that for some among us, the perfidious lust for unbridled power and the imposition of cruelty in its quest to know no bounds and are bereft of human decency. Are you kidding? Is this typical of a judge's behavior?
No, but it's becoming typical. Actually, there's a lot of judges writing stuff like that, particularly district court judges. Not very many in the appellate level, where there seems to be some sane people still left on the bench. No, this is spreading. It's like the peanut butter conspiracy. It's spreading.
What also seems to be spreading is this ICE. It's moving from the streets and onto the sidewalks. What are your thoughts on how D.C. has handled, not just D.C., but, all the suburbs have handled the storm that happened last week?
Well, since I'm not there and from what I read, it ain't looking good.
You don't want to come observe for yourself?
No, actually, I passed on an opportunity to come up during the storm. Victoria and I passed because of the weather. But here's the thing. This is governing 101. You either get this right and garbage, or you don't hang around. Now, the only reason the people that are still making these mistakes are around is because you have a constituency of over 90% Democrats in the burbs and in the city, and these people are happy to tolerate incompetence and live with it. It's suicidal.
But it's also because this is the nation's capital, Joe. As you well know, you were the U.S. attorney for D.C. This is beyond just an inconvenience and bad for schools being closed. When you don't have proper ability to move around, when people from around the country can't come and sort of address their representatives and petition their government, that's actually, it affects more than just an inconvenience.
Well, it actually, government does come to a halt. I mean, look, it's holding up the tariff case, for heaven's sakes, in the Supreme Court. I mean, at least I think so. That's my reason for the delay. I think incompetence reigns supreme in Washington. It does have a profound effect on the way government functions. Even though government can work from home, it still doesn't work right. And it's an embarrassment, and it should be.
Yeah.
Joe, there was another legal decision over the weekend that doesn't involve federal courts, but I think that it's going to have some wide-reaching repercussions, and that was a New York jury awarding $2 million. It's the first award to a detransitioner, a young 16-year-old girl who was convinced to get a double mastectomy, and she has received a $2 million reward for the malpractice of the psychologist and the doctor. Can you speak to this decision and what it might mean going forward?
Well, of course, it's a jury verdict, so it's binding on no one except the people who are parties to the suit. But it does send a message that when these cases are tried properly, there's going to be money awarded. This case represents the beginning of the holding accountable the medical profession and the psychology and the psychiatric profession for becoming completely deluded themselves into the gender ideology nonsense. I think these civil suits are great, and this woman was 16 years old when she was basically forced to have a mastectomy, a double mastectomy. She's now 22, and she's trying to reconstruct her life back as a woman. The people who did this not only should have civil lawsuits against them, but there should be a criminal case started by the Justice Department. There should be a federal grand jury investigating the professional associations which decided that this was a good idea and that they were going to basically create junk science to make recommendations both psychologically, psychiatrically, and medically on the bodies of young women. This is such an outrage, and it needs to be handled more than just money, because there are insurance companies that are going to pay this money for these doctors. What needs to happen is a criminal investigation. I believe that civil rights laws were violated, and they've been violated for a number of years. I think it's time for Pam Bondi to look into this.
Could one case start to drive up the medical malpractice, the fees that doctors pay, or would it have to become a pattern? Would there have to be a number of lawsuits before the medical malpractice dues are raised?
Well, the insurance companies are very, very smart. All they do is manage money. Remember, they don't do anything else. They take in money and they pay a little bit of it out. The rest they do in investments and long-term bonds in the stock market and anything. They look at this, and they have a group of people in the industry that start looking at this, and they take a temperature, and then they decide what they're going to do. They are anticipating that there will be more of these awards, so I would imagine that premiums for medical malpractice are going to go up for the doctors who perform this type of surgery, and I would imagine they'd go up considerably.
Joe, we got to keep you for a second segment because we haven't even touched on the Don Lemon case. And I think you might have an opinion.
Sour subject, a very sour subject.
Oh, but when life gives you lemons. All right, we'll get into it with Joe in a moment. First, though, at 7:15, we continue with Joe diGenova, former U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. Friday, we learned during this program of the arrest of Don Lemon. And, boy, we're sure getting a lot of reaction from this, Joe. If you could cut through some of the nonsense we're hearing. First of all, what I'm seeing from many people who are outraged over this is that Don Lemon was arrested for doing journalism and for covering a story. Now, that doesn't seem right. Is that what Don Lemon was arrested for?
Well, he was arrested for violating the civil rights of the attendees of a church service inside a private facility, which he and a number of others disrupted the service, interfered with the exercise of religious liberty under the First Amendment, and violated various federal statutes by doing that. Don Lemon claims that he was performing journalism. That wasn't journalism, what he did. He used journalism as a cover to get in and disrupt the facility. He was with them ahead of time, training the people who were going to be the demonstrators and the rioters who entered the church, giving them advice. And then he actually tried to talk to the minister in the middle of the service. You don't get to do that. Journalists don't get to disrupt services. I think it's going to be very interesting to watch this case go through the courts. I'm sure he will mount a vigorous defense. Mm-hmm. And who knows, he may get a sympathetic judge who may pout and cry and, do the anti-Trump thing, which is so popular among federal judges these days. But right now, the government's on very sound ground. That wasn't journalism. That was a private citizen acting like an idiot.
Even if it was journalism, I feel like this case kind of pits two First Amendment protections against each other, press and religion. Is that a fair read, or is under no circumstances would you even constitute what he was doing as journalism?
Well, there's nothing wrong with entering the church and covering what is going on in the facility. That's not what they did. He entered the church with a mob and participated in the riot. He encouraged the riot before he went in. He trained them. He told them what to do. Let's remember, they blocked exits. People could not get out of certain exits. And remember what this country has been through over the last few years. Shootings in churches and synagogues. These people were scared to death. They feared violence. They didn't know if any of these people were armed. And so the issue becomes a much larger issue. This is not press freedom versus religious freedom. That church is a sanctuary, whether it's a synagogue, a Catholic church, a Presbyterian church, a Lutheran church. You don't go in there and disrupt the service. That's a violation of the law everywhere in the United States, whether it's local law or federal law. Those people went in there with Don Lemon to disrupt the service and send a message of fear. That's a crime.
By the way, Don Lemon's attorney is Abby Lowell. If that name sounds familiar, it's because when you last heard of Abby Lowell, he was defending one Hunter Biden. It's like there's only two lawyers in this whole country. If you were prosecuting this case, Joe, what kind of evidence would you be looking for to convince the jury that, in fact, Don Lemon did break the law and his First Amendment rights were not even part of the equation here?
I would put on the witness stand first the children and the mothers who tried to leave the church and were blocked from exiting and couldn't get out. I would want information about the fear that the children felt and the women. And the reason for that is very simple. A jury needs to hear what it was like to be in that church and not know what was going to happen next. There has been traumatic injury done to some of these children and the people in there because of the fear of what might transpire, not knowing who was armed and whether or not they were going to be killed. This invasion of this church does not occur in a vacuum. There have been murders in synagogues and churches around the country over the last 10 years. This event occurred in that scenario, and I think it's absolutely necessary to prosecute all of those people who were there invading that church, and Don Lemon in particular.
Brilliant. Thank you, Joe. We're going to leave it there. I appreciate you joining us, as always, on our Monday morning get-together.
You bet. Warm up.
Well, yeah, amen to that. By the way, while we are talking about Don Lemon, I want everyone to listen to this. Don Lemon took to the airwaves over the weekend and, had a warning for MAGA, because he's just a journalist, Bethany, doing journalism. Take a listen to this.
I have so many thoughts, and what this did was really open my eyes to a lot. So if you think that I was outspoken before this, just wait. Just wait. So I know that there are people who think like, do this and, that I'm going to be locked up or whatever. I ain't worried about that.
Okay.
Then you heard the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
That's fine. And he thinks this has to do with him being outspoken. Trust me, it really isn't. But take a listen to this now, Cut 6. Because I've been saying this for years, that most of the hate that you see from these teleprompter readers like Don Lemon that's directed at Trump is like, it's just Trump, it's just Trump. No, it isn't. They're really, they don't like Trump, but they're angry at you for ignoring them. They're angry at you for not taking them seriously. When they say Trump is a fascist and he's a Russian puppet and he's all the things that they said he was, and you voted for him anyway, they hate you. Take a listen.
Just as if you try to get rid of the migrants and some of the folks who come here, quite honestly, illegally, then you can't. Then folks in the farming industry, in the service industries, and in many other industries, they won't be able to do their jobs. Some farmers say without these workers, they have about 2 days that they can run their farms. And then after that, it's over. Oh my gosh, I love this. Now you're finding out, you dumb idiots. Now you're just figuring it out. You're so stupid and you deserve it.
There you go. He's specifically talking about Trump voters and Trump supporters there in that little diatribe. That's some good journalism too.
That is how the vast majority of his colleagues in the media think about us. Mm-hmm. But he had CNN holding him hostage.
That's right.
In the same way that he just held other Americans hostage. But finally, when he was released from his CNN contract, he was able to speak his mind. And I think he just spoke himself into some real trouble.
It's 7:25.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It is Groundhog Day. Thank you for tuning in again and again and again and again and again and again. Punxsutawney Phil has poked his head out, and they've delivered another corny poem. It's very exciting. And it's Gobbler's Knob, by the way. Gobbler's Knob, Bethany, Mandel.
What?
That's what it's called, Gobbler's Knob. That's
what is
in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, where the groundhog comes out. It's called Gobbler's Knob. What did you think?
That's the name of the town?
No, that's the name of the little area where Punxsutawney Phil lives. The town is called Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. The little
making things up.
Mound of earth is called Gobbler's Knob.
I think you're making things up. But I could not be less surprised at the news this morning.
Well, let's hear it. Let's hear it straight from...
Okay, fine.
Well, I don't want you to... It's like you got to... It's drama. Can we...
Yeah, we got to build up.
All right.
Narrator, no one is going to be surprised.
Cut 8. Here we go.
Phil looked to the skies and then, speaking in groundhogese, directed President Dunkel to the proper scroll, which reads, "It's my great honor to answer your annual call. So I rise again this morning to greet you all. But today I wake thinking of numbers and time. America turns 250 and I'm at least 139. Let's celebrate all, young, old, babies, or millennial, and kick off America's semi-quincentennial. It is my job this February 2 to look to the skies and report back to you that there is a shadow here on my ground. 6 more weeks of winter abound."
Could we just kill that thing?
Didn't Bill de Blasio do that? Didn't he kill the groundhog in New York?
Well, the city of New York, technically, after the groundhog bit Bill de Blasio.
No, but Bill de Blasio kicked it.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, you don't know this story? Oh my God!
I thought it was like they decided to kill it, like euthanize it, because once a groundhog gets a taste for human flesh, there's no turning back.
He dropped it in 2023. He dropped a groundhog that later died.
Well, 6 more weeks of winter, everybody. 6 more weeks of winter. Now, here's the good news on this. NOAA, that would be the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the place that always talks about global warming, and everyone was screaming because the Trump administration was cutting its funding. Well, they had time and money today to put out a statement about the accuracy of Punxsutawney Phil. That's right. NOAA put out a statement about the accuracy of a groundhog. Do they think that the groundhog actually writes the poem? Do they not know what this thing is?
I just did a deep dive in the 30 seconds that I haven't been speaking on what happened with Bill de Blasio in 2014, and I just need... So he did an interview later about it, and this is so typical of liberals. Hold on one second. He asked if he had any regrets. De Blasio said, yeah, 100%. I'm like, don't make me hold a bleeping groundhog. I mean, what the heck? Let me tell you exactly what happened. I go there and it's 7 a.m, which means my motor skills are not at the best. I put on these gloves and they're like, here's a groundhog. And I'm like, what the bleep? Don't you have a little more coaching to do? He blames everyone else, including his poor motor skills, for dropping Charlotte the groundhog who died.
Charlotte. Oh.
Charlotte.
It's a she, her. Who knew?
Noah
has decided that Punxsutawney Phil has only been accurate 30% of the time. So
wow.
That means that we got a 2 in 3 chance that the thing is wrong about 6 more weeks of winter.
What if, okay, so Punxsutawney Phil just said that there's going to be 6 more weeks of winter, but if Punxsutawney Phil is like Bill Crystal and is always wrong, maybe we should feel encouraged today.
Punxsutawney Bill Crystal. Yeah, there you go. I just love the fact that NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, has become the smart kid in the front row of the class, that when somebody says something obviously trying to be funny or sarcastic, they raise their hand and say, actually, that groundhog isn't always accurate. So I think we'll be all right. By the way, other groundhogs in the country, Punxsutawney, of course, Punxsutawney Phil. Staten Island has their own groundhog, separate from the Manhattan groundhog, which I appreciate. That would be Staten Island Chuck.
Chuck, yeah. That makes sense. That's a good name. Charlotte is kind of a silly name for a groundhog.
Marion, Ohio has Buckeye Chuck. Lilburn has General Beauregard Lee. Boy,
That's adorable.
The South shall rise again.
I just want this to be my job now.
The Bronx Zoo is Bronx Zoo Phil. Sun Prairie has Jimmy the Groundhog.
No.
French Creek has French Creek Freddy. I do like the alliteration there.
Nope.
Dunkirk has Dunkirk Dave.
Nope.
Coreyville has Octoraro Orphy.
People can do a lot better than this. Come on. They're really
Milltown
phoning it in.
Milltown Mel. Have you noticed how many of these have Jewish-sounding names? Well, they do control the weather.
I was just going to say that.
I mean, that makes sense.
So
I said
wrong.
Phil and Mel and Bernie and Shlomo and whatever.
We have talked about several of my children's names on this segment. I don't say my kids' names, but we've literally said several of my children's names during this segment.
There you go. Jackson, Mississippi has Mississippi Mac, and the Atlanta Zoo has Weather Wizard Willie.
No, really phoning it in, guys. Come on.
It's been a long time since I've had a Weather Wizard Willie.
Yeah.
There it is. There's your update. We don't have Potomacville yet. Honestly, nothing is said and done until the long-dead, stuffed, taxidermy-friendly Potomacville emerges and gives his prediction. So we'll wait and see until 8:30 when that happens here in the district. It's 7:43. Because we can't get enough of the groundhog perspective on our weather. We'll get into the actual real weather issues that we're having right now, including all of the ice that can't get cleared in the schools that keep getting closed. But let's walk down memory lane. Mayor Bill de Blasio, he was the Marxist mayor 4 years ago before the latest Marxist mayor. Bill de Blasio on Groundhog Day, circa 23. That was the sound of the mayor of New York getting bitten by by Charlotte, the groundhog, and then what did he do? He drop kicked her.
He dropped, and the groundhog died. It's no joke, Larry. Charlotte the groundhog died.
It's funny though.
Where is PETA?
Oh, I'm pretty sure PETA does not like the exploitation of groundhogs.
Well, PETA should come out against Bill de Blasio.
What do groundhogs do, by the way? I mean, what's their purpose in the circle of life exactly?
I mean, they dig things. You can ask that question about anything. What is the purpose of a squirrel? What is the purpose of a deer?
Well, squirrels are highly entertaining, and deer taste good.
Yeah. So I think that this really speaks to the imagination of the human species, that we've given such an important and ludicrous job to giant rodents.
Yeah, it's just a big rodent.
It gives them purpose, and I think that it's nice of humans to give them such purpose in life.
Probably good. Well, and it's something for the kids to do today as they're staying home from school, because most of the school systems around this area still can't get the act together and open schools. I don't quite understand how Fairfax is still closed, considering Loudon is open, although on a delay. I mean, the understanding is that it's because of sidewalks and because the buses can't get through, but again, you can't tell me that some other, like Prince George's County. What is different about Prince George's County than Montgomery County and Fairfax County? I think it's the influence of the teachers.
Yeah, I mean, they need to get creative here, because if we're judging the metrics by like every sidewalk and every street has to be clear, this snowcrete is not going away anytime soon. And so therefore, what, are schools not going to open anytime soon? They need to get creative. Have centralized pickups instead of, promising to pick every kid up on their block. And don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Let 85% of the kids return to school tomorrow, and give the other 15% an excused absence if they can't make it for whatever reason.
Now, you homeschool your kids. Are they trying to play the whole, hey, Mom, schools are closed, so we shouldn't have school either?
They are so mad. They're like, wait a second. Everyone gets off for snow, but you're giving us more school? I'm like, yeah, because we're all stuck inside, so let's go through 2 math lessons instead of 1.
That's right.
Because, by the way, my children, we're a month behind on math because we went away for a month.
So you got to catch up.
If you want to play the game of the kids get to do this, the kids who go to school didn't get to go to Israel for 5 weeks. You're
right.
Welcome, Mandels.
Up in New York, as gridlocked and as dysfunctional as D.C. is, and some of the outlying counties and regions around the District of Columbia, New York is suffering from the warm glow of collectivism up there, thanks to the powerful guidance of Zoran Mamdani. This is his first big test as mayor, and it's been an absolute debacle. A week after the storm, there are still cars that are just locked in, and even worse, garbage bags are just piling up on the sidewalks because the sanitation trucks can't get through. New York already kind of smells, but can you imagine what it's like right now with all of that? Deborah Messing, by the way, she of the sitcom world of Will and Grace, she posted a picture of herself saying, sitting in a taxi trying to get to an appointment. Should take 20 minutes, but we're at an hour and 10 minutes and counting. The streets are a disaster. It hasn't snowed in 5 days, and the streets still haven't been cleared. Poor ambulance sitting in essentially a parking lot with sirens going. I'm praying for the person needing emergency care. I wonder what happened. Socialism happened.
Yep. I just opened my my Ring camera to look at the road outside my house to see if they've picked up my garbage, and they have not.
Yeah.
So it's not just a problem in New York City; it's also Montgomery County.
Also Marxist.
But don't worry. The county council have spent a lot of time talking about how to keep ice out. So
wrong kind of ice.
Wrong kind of ice. Turned out.
By the way,
but, maybe my garbage will be picked up.
There's another wacky redhead sitcom star, just like Deborah Messing, who's complaining. Jen Psaki, former White House spokesperson, now Ms. Now host, said, wrapping my head around schools in Virginia being closed for another day when it hasn't snowed in a week. And then compared it to, her childhood growing up in the Northeast. Gee, what happened, Jen? Who's to blame in Northern Virginia for such things? That would be Jen's political party. It's really something to watch and behold if it weren't so serious. 7:54.